Hey folks, welcome back to the Digital Imaging channel. I'm Will, and today we're going to be talking about optical character recognition and how it works with digital conversion. So, optical character recognition is more commonly referred to as OCR. It's just the first letter of each of those words. And what it means at a very simple level is you're taking non-searchable documents and making them searchable. Now, how it's created is fairly complicated. It's more on the technical side, but a layman's version of it is you take a copy of a document. If it's a hard copy, you're going to scan that first so you have a digital version to work with, or you may already have a digital version of a file. And then you're going to process it through an OCR engine. And there are many different OCR companies and engines that are available. It depends on what you use or what a company uses to process those documents, but you're going to run it through that OCR engine, which will then read those words, characters, lines, phrases, and take those just images on that file, that digital file, and then turn it into a searchable document by recognizing what each of those characters and phrases and whatnot are. Now, something to remember, this whole process, once that's done, you have your searchable files. Something that's critical to remember is that OCR is not 100% guarantee. You can never be sure that everything's going to be captured, and you can get a pretty high percentage, I mean 98, 99% of characters will be recognized, but there's always a chance and a very high probability that not everything will be searchable. So when you're looking for OCR for some documents, maybe a conversion project, if you're asking for 100% and someone tells you, sure, we can get 100% accuracy, unless they're having someone go through and manually key these words and phrases and whatever's on there, it can't be a guarantee. You gotta be careful of that. Now, even if a human does go through and write out every word, write out every character, every phrase, every sentence, every paragraph, they're humans. There's gonna be error. So anything or anybody that says it's 100% accurate, just be careful. We never guarantee 100% accuracy when we do OCR, and just be aware that it's very extremely unlikely that that's going to happen. OCR is usually used in digital conversion projects for two major reasons. And one is someone just wants to be able to search their documents and not have to know exactly where something is. So a good way to think about it is you know the information's on a file or in a collection, you just don't know where. So the best way to search for it could be just typing in a phrase, a word, a name, whatever it is, and seeing if that information can be found via text search. So you don't know where it is, you just know what it is. So making those documents searchable can help with that. Another reason that folks go forward with OCR is it can sort of replace the costly indexing aspect of digital conversion. And when we say indexing, it's basically naming digital files once they're converted to an electronic format. So let's say you're using microfilm. Now, on a roll of microfilm, you could have 2,500 images. And on that roll of film, there may be one file. That entire roll is just one file. Or you may have hundreds, even thousands of individual documents. Now, indexing at the roll level, just calling the roll what it is, roll number one, whatever, and having one giant PDF file is possible. Or you could go a little more fancy and get every file indexed. But to do that, to go through every image and find those hundreds or thousands of different documents and records, that can be very expensive. So to sort of counteract that, instead of doing that costly indexing and getting every record named, you can just OCR that entire roll. So you have the roll level indexing just like you do in its physical form, but then you can quickly search for a file. So best case scenario, let's say there's student records. You search for a name, you get a hit on a name, and you go to that file. You're done. You didn't have to spend a lot of money indexing each record. Worst case scenario, you can't find that name, and then you're scrolling like you used to with the physical film, but it's a lot faster because it's digital anyway. So a lot of times we do recommend replicating what you have now, and if you can, you apply text search and see if that works for you before you go down a very costly indexing path. And two quick examples of OCR text search within a collection is you have a PDF, let's say it's a 100-page PDF, you just open it from the file, you do a search for, again, maybe a name, and you find that information on the document. You didn't have to scroll through 100 or so pages, you just went right to the page where you needed it, and you're done. Or a different example, like in a hosted document management system, like our digital reel application, you may have thousands of, let's say, microfilm rolls or hundreds of boxes of records that were scanned, and you can search that entire collection through a text search feature and see where does this piece of information, maybe date of birth, a social security number, where does it pop up throughout that entire collection. So again, you don't need to know where something is, you just need to know what it is and then search for it. The next thing is when you should consider using OCR or applying it to your digital conversion project. And the first scenario is that your records are not accessed frequently at all. You don't want to spend the money indexing, you're not getting into them a lot, but you do want to find these records quickly when you do need to get to them. So maybe you have a couple thousand boxes you don't want to store anymore, so you scan them, you digitize them. You don't want to spend a bunch of money going to the folder levels or individual pages within each box of paper. You just scan like a digital box and you have, let's say, 1,000 boxes available. You can apply OCR so that you can quickly search for the record when you do need to find it. You just don't want to spend the money doing heavy indexing when you're not really getting into these files a lot. Maybe a couple times a year, a couple times a month. You don't want to spend that money, so you can apply OCR. A second example, which is kind of counterintuitive to what I was just talking about, but let's say you are accessing files a lot, applying OCR, even if they're indexed, can be very beneficial. So if these are files that are accessed a lot, or maybe they're large files and they still are indexed, let's say you have 1,000 boxes again, but each box has 4 or 5 files in it. Let's say these are legal documents, big case files. It could be not that expensive to index because there aren't many individual units, just 5 per box, so 5,000 index points across that entire collection. But once you find the file, case number 12345, you still have about 500 pages you may need to scroll through to find that information. So even though you're indexed, you still may want to apply OCR to find the record and then quickly get to that information you need within that larger file. And a third example of when you may want to apply OCR to a project is if you have records that are accessed by the public. So maybe you're a library that you're scanning some historical archives to be available to the public online, or like a county recorder, you're scanning official records that will be provided to the public, maybe like a building department of sorts that does have some sort of public access. Folks are used to searching like in Google and just finding things right away, just typing what they want and getting sent to it. So they may not want to know, okay, I found the file and now I need to click around and find a specific piece of information. I just want the information. So if you have public facing records, OCR and text search can be a great additional value, especially to the public that are accessing them, because they're just used to that kind of searching nowadays. And that's it, just a quick overview of OCR and how it works with digital conversion. Hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. Remember to subscribe to our channel so that you can get more videos like this. Again, I'm Will, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.